Okay, so in the previous tutorial we have seen how we can set up our RTS game project, and now let's take a look at how we can construct our pawn class. So usually in an RTS game, uh, the pawn is itself a camera, right? So it's like you know, viewing your map like this, rotating and stuff like that, or maybe like moving your camera, right? So actions like that are considered as the pawn class related behaviors in a strategy game. So basically we have to construct a camera component as our pawn class, and we have to assign it to the game mode. Yeah, so we can do that by creating a new camera pawn inside our blueprints folder. So let's create maybe a folder called camera, and let's create a blueprint class which is a pawn class, right? Because a pawn is an actor that can be possessed or received input from a controller. So this is exactly what we need, right? It's a camera controller or camera controlled pawn which will be controlled by the player by giving inputs, right? It can be keyboard inputs or mouse inputs or any other form of input, right? So let's select pawn class, and I will name this as camera pawn. I'll open it up. Maybe I don't need the message log window or even project settings. So now let's assign this camera pawn as the default pawn class in our game mode. Let's compile and say it again. Let's go to the BP camera pawn, and yeah, actually you can start playing your game right now, but it won't do anything, right? It just a static camera that has been placed on your map. So how that happens? It happens because of this start component. So it will automatically attach the default camera like this, right? But it won't move or it won't do anything because it is not yet consuming inputs or do any necessary transitions, right? But if you delete this start component and start from a position like this, see, you can see the camera is now attached with that specific position. But again, if you try to control it, you can't do that. Why? Because you are not consuming any inputs. Okay, so let's go to the camera port, and here maybe maybe in order to demonstrate, I will add a cube like this, and let's try to play again. So let's go to the map, let's start play again. So here you can see that now the camera component has been assigned. That's why you can see this sort of a white background, and it starts with from a default position like this, right? So our pawn is correctly mapped with our game mode, also our level. But I think I don't need this cube anymore, so maybe you can delete it or you can keep it invisible. So maybe I will keep it invisible because later on, if we need any testings and stuff like that, we can easily retrigger this cube. But make sure to cause any collisions, so select no collisions as well. And we don't need to generate any overlap events. This is just a placeholder element. So if you start playing now, you will see nothing because the cube itself disabled. But if you enable it again by unticking this hidden in game, see, you can see this sort of a white cube that has been placed in your level. But I will again disable it, and let's start with our camera initialization. So let's select cube, and first I will add a spring arm. So this spring arm serves as a distance indicator and a locator where we can place our camera. So if I select this spring arm and put a camera element, you can see it will be attached at the end of this spring arm. So let's say you need to have a better spring arm which has been distant from this specific cube. So you can select the spring arm and go to the target arm length, and you can easily increase it, right? So maybe let's make it as 1000. Right? So now the camera has been in far away position, and if you start playing your game right now, you can see it start with a distance location which has been targeted to this specific cube. So if you untick this hidden in game and play it again, you will see our cube is in the middle of the screen, and we can clearly see the cube as well, because our character camera or camera pawn has been in a distance location. But let's place a player start component here, and let's start playing again. You can see the cube is there actually, but it is very difficult to visualize. So maybe we need a better angle with this spring arm as well, because in a strategy game the camera is sort of angled. So let's go to the rotations, and maybe let's make this as minus 45 degrees. So now the camera will be projected from an angular position like this, and let's try to play it again. Okay, now you can see the cube is there, plus the camera is now in a sort of like a strategy camera viewpoint. And I think we don't need this camera to be visible. It is, as I said before, it is there just as a placeholder element. And let's play it again. Okay, the camera is there, but you can see that we can't control our camera yet, simply because we are not consuming any sort of inputs. So in order to consume inputs, we have to go under project settings, and we have to mention what are the input types that we are consuming. So let's go to the input, and maybe under axis mappings we can add a new input called move camera forward. Okay, also I will add another input called move camera right. Okay, and I will use W as a forward scaling, and I will use S as a backward scaling, which is -1. Likewise, I will use a D key as forward scaling or right scaling, and A key as the left input scaling, right? So make sure to make it as negative. Okay, then we can go to the camera pawn, and for each tick we can consume or we can listen to the input events and do the transformation for the camera accordingly, right? So let's go to the event tick, and maybe maybe let's create a sequence first, because we are going to consume different types of input elements later. But for now, let's use this sort of a sequence. And yeah, so basically what we have to do, we have to add a local offset for this specific camera pawn, so it will feel like we are moving our camera. So let's first add local offset to our actor. Yeah, maybe let's try this way. Add actor local offset, right? Otherwise we are adding offset for specific components, which is not we are intended to do. We need to add the offset to the entire pawn actor, right? So we have to get the forward vector, and let's consume that move input as well. So I think it's move camera forward, which is an axis value, and we can multiply it to, you know, with a dynamic camera speed. So I will promote this to a variable called camera speed, and you can make this as instant editable variable. So later on, if you need to dynamically respond your camera pawn, you can pre-configure it once you make it as instant editable. Also, the category I will assign this as setup camera, and by default I will maybe assign a value like 500, and camera speed is there. Also, we need to do this multiplication for each tick. Therefore, I will promote this delta second as a variable, and I don't need to expose this variable outside this class, so I can make this as private. So these are some of the best practices in object-oriented programming in order to protect your game, and in order to you know, has a better structure in your game. Yeah, so try to make this as private, so it will be much better. And let's multiply this forward vector with this specific float value, and assign it to the data location. So we don't need to tick any sweep for transport, because this thing will happen for each second, so either way this will be quite a bit of smooth. Okay, so maybe we can play test now. Okay, now you can see when you click W, the camera is moving towards the forward axis, and if you are clicking S, it moving backward. But if you press A or D, it won't move anything, because we are not consuming that axis input yet. So let's do that as well, but first let's comment this thing, so later on when you are referring your blueprint classes, it will be easy for you to get a better understanding. So I'll name this as move camera forward or backward. And I don't like this white color comments usually, so I will use this sort of a darker background color, but yeah, it's just for the visualization purposes. Okay, now we have to do somewhat similar thing for the our right transformation as well, or like, you know, horizontal camera movement. So I will copy this entire thing and paste it over here, because it's exact same thing. The only difference is we are consuming a different axis and we are manipulating a different vector, right? So in the forward manipulation we are using the forward vector, and in the vertical manipulation or the horizontal manipulation we are going to use the right vector, and instead of using get camera movement forward, we have to use move camera right. The camera speed, delta seconds, everything remain as it is, and let's rename this command as right or left. Okay, and let's compile and let's try to play. Okay, now you can see you can move horizontal axis and you can move from vertical axis as well. So A works, W works, D works, A. All the keyboard inputs are working right now, and yeah, so I think we have the initial camera control set up in our camera pawn class, and yeah, maybe in the next video let's see how we can improve this thing and make it move much better, and how we can rotate the camera by using mouse inputs as well. Okay, so thank you for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.